Good morning, and I want to look here today. You have opened the Unit 2 project, Part 2, called Third Party Political Personality. So at this point, you finished your t-shirt, and you have created your own party with the name and issue. You've taken a stance on the issue. You've created a slogan for that party that kind of represents that issue, right? You're focusing on one issue. And so at the top it says the introduction. Imagine the 2024 election process is progressing. Several of the candidates in the Democratic, Republican, and several independents are beginning to drop out of the race because they are not achieving the success they had hoped to at that point. However, your third party is able to catch the attention of one of these dropout candidates because this individual has the same or a similar position as your party on its focus issue. This candidate met with representatives from your party and decided to run for president as your third party candidate. So what you need to do from part 1 of the project, from your t-shirt, you need to write your third party's name, your focus issue, and your party slogan in this box. Right? You need to do that from part 1 of the project. And your goal of this is to justify the selection of a candidate from a list of available candidates who will run as your third party's nominee in the 2024 election. This candidate must have the same or a similar belief as your party's stance on the focus issue. Okay? Anything else is kind of up for grabs, but they have to have that same stance on whatever, abortion or on LGBTQ rights or on, civil rights, Black Lives Matter, things of that nature. They have to have the same stance or a similar stance. Okay? And then you're going to choose a candidate. And I have 21 candidates here that I've targeted. You can use other candidates, but these are kind of some of the main contenders that were in 2020 and that might be back in 2024. And choosing one of these might be a little bit easier. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier on you, so you don't have to do too much research, but you could go to this website and find someone else on the issues. Much to the chagrin of some of you, Mark Cuban is not on that website. I can't find him, but if you can find his stance on issues, go for it. So for the Democratic slate, I picked Cory Booker from New Jersey, Pete Buttigieg from Indiana, Julian Castro from Texas, Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, Gavin Newsom from California, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York. Independents, I picked 7 independents as well. Michael Bloomberg from New York, Bernie Sanders, Vermont, Howard Schultz, Washington, he's the CEO of Starbucks, Jesse Ventura, Minnesota, former wrestler, Kanye West from Georgia, Marianne Williamson from California, and Andrew Yang from New York. And then I picked 7 Republican candidates, Greg Abbott from Texas, Ron DeSantis from Florida, Nikki Haley from South Carolina, Josh Hawley from Missouri, Larry Hogan from Maryland, John Kasich from Ohio, and Tim Scott from South Carolina. Okay, you can choose another candidate, but it might be easier. These are all hyperlinked to a website you can see, and it'll take you to on the issues, and it'll go through all these different issues and where they stand and what are some of the quotes they've had on those issues. Once you've made a decision, you put the name of your candidate here in spot 2. Okay. And then you can do the spectrum question here. So what you're going to do is double click on this box, and depending on where you think your party leans, you could be more of a progressive candidate to the left. You could be more of a libertarian or conservative to the right. Your party might be in the middle. It depends on what your stance is on the issue. So make sure you think about that and kind of go compare it to what we've talked about in the past and what we did on that spectrum survey. If you have questions about this part might be the most challenging. And what you would do is just circle or highlight your party stance and whatever it is. All right, I'm going to do that and save this. And then you would save it and it would change the color. Okay. You can then write a 3 to 5 sentence analysis justifying, why you think. You notice it says in green here. You may want to do questions 4 and 5 below and then come back and finish this part. You might want to. It might be easier. Questions 4 and 5 go together. Question 4, you're going to pick 3 issues or topics other than your focus issue. So if your focus issue was healthcare, then you're going to pick other things like foreign policy and tax reform and abortion. Three different and highlight them. Okay, you're going to highlight them here. And then in number 5, you're going to write these issues here. And these are kind of your opinions on the issues, and then this is where you would find your candidate's stance on those issues. These do not have to be the same, right, in this part. As long as this issue, number 1, is the same as the candidate. Number 4 and 5, you guys can differ a little bit. right? You're running on that one issue, but you have other issues you want to discuss that you think are important. So pick the 3 that you think are most important besides your focus issue in our current climate, and go from there. Okay. Then you're going to do a little campaigning. All right. 6 says, look at the 270 to Win website and make sure to be on the 2024 presidential interactive map. List the 5 states that you would spend the most time campaigning in. Write down how many electoral votes your state has and justify your choices in a cohesive reflection. So there's some details under here that give you some additional information. But you might want to pick some states maybe that are swing states, 50-50 states. Maybe you can win a state as a candidate. Maybe you want to pick your candidate's home state. That might be a good idea because they probably have a pretty good following. If Cory Booker from New Jersey, or Bernie Sanders from Vermont, or John Kasich from Ohio, right? You might want to pick one of their home state and maybe a few swing states. Maybe you want to target one geographic location. You're going to pick all the states in the Midwest, or you're going to pick 5 states in the Southeast. Whatever you're going to do, to have a plan and then justify it in a statement here. Maybe your justification is you're picking swing states. Maybe your justification is you're picking by geography. Maybe your justification is you're picking some larger electoral states, or maybe some smaller states to, steal 3 votes or whatever, force it to the House of Representatives for a tiebreaker. Who knows? There's a lot of different strategies. All right. And then 7 is kind of a cohesive reflection, 5 to 7 sentences. It says right here what you might consider, what led to you to choose this candidate, why are they the best for your party's platform and focus issue, what attributes do they bring that some other candidates might not possess, why are they a strong candidate, stronger than some of the other candidates, right? And then number 8 is the other reflection question, a positive impact of having a strong third-party campaign, third-party candidate in the election. And then the other one is kind of a negative impact. Why, was a negative impact having a strong third-party campaign in the presidential election? How could that swing the vote? How could that take votes from other parties? Like, what could that do? Right. So you want a positive, and then you want to explain it, and then a negative, and you want to explain it. You might use examples or something like that. All right. There's also a bonus section, and the bonus section is similar to number 7 above, where you explain the choice of your candidate. But in this case, you're going to choose a vice presidential running mate. So who would be someone that, maybe from the list above, maybe not, but someone that would be someone to run with your candidate as a VP, as a VEP, if you will. One rule, though, they have to be from a different state. That's a rule. So you can't do Andrew Yang and Mike Bloomberg together. You can't do Tim Scott and Nikki Haley together. They're both from the same state. You have to pick someone from a different state. You can't do Gavin Newsom with Marianne Williamson. They won't work together because they're both from California. So you have to have 2 different states there. It's one of the issues. And you want to attract different voters. So you might want to have someone from a different geographic region, male, female, white, non-white, minority candidate with a white candidate, something like that, something to mix it up. Geography is a big one too. My candidate's from New York, so I'm going to pick someone from the South or someone from the West just to kind of diversify my ticket. All right. Here's the rubric. It's 40 points, and we're looking at candidate choice investigating here. We're looking at another investigating your overall research, your overall planning, and another criterion be investigating, evaluating the process. That's going to be a reflection. And then critical thinking. So summarizing information to make valid arguments and recognizing different perspectives with the issues and kind of comparing your belief in the issues to your candidates. And that's 8 points each, so that adds up to 40. The first part was 32, so 72 points, 2 separate grades, 32 and 40. The 32 will go in the first quarter, the 40 will go in the second quarter, which is how it is. All right, let me know what questions you have. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoy this project overall. Third party political personality.